This is John Loughran Jr. Profile. This episode's guest is SVP, Group Client Leader at Havas, Paulette McCarron.
What's up, friends? Welcome to episode 5 of our little show, which can officially be updated to being viewed by hundreds and hundreds of people in our industry. The hell was that? Special thanks to our friends at CMI for helping to promote the Irene Coin episode, which is now over 300 views, which in YouTube terms is nothing, but in our little industry, it's got to be something. Where are these things coming from? Every episode now has over 150 views, so thank you to everyone who tunes in. I hope to keep this fun and fresh every other week till the end of time, which may actually be further away than we once thought, as there is now officially a COVID vaccine that's going to start being rolled out. That's great news for people who like leaving their houses, but bad news for my brother-in-law, who loves this built-in excuse to not have to leave his TV. But seriously, thank you to everyone who worked so hard to make this a reality. Speaking of reality, as usual, I came out of the gates hot and heavy on The Bachelorette, only to lose interest, so I have no idea what's going on. I think Big Brother's the only reality show that I watch from beginning to end each season. Vanderpump Rules was a contender. What an awesome show. But even that one I fell off of years ago. Is Jack still alive? Stassi? These are things I need to look into. In football news, in addition to our elf on the shelf, we now have Carson Wentz on the bench, which is all part of God's plan for him. Jalen Hurts has come in and given the Birds a spark, sucking me all the way back in and screwing our chances of a good draft pick, which they would only mess up anyway. Now all they have to do is win out and have Washington lose 2 of 3 and a couple other things to happen, and then they make the playoffs, and yeah, baby, Super Bowl. So this is the last episode before Christmas, and hopefully a nice little or long break for everyone. My little family usually takes a trip to Hershey around Christmas each year, but we won't be doing that this year due to, well, you know why. So we're going to have to get creative to keep our kids entertained for 11 days? I'm asking all of our loyal viewers for suggestions. Seriously, anything. Please send me any ideas to kill time during their break. They'll lose interest in each new toy pretty quickly. We already made and ate our gingerbread houses, and we watched the movie Elf. Kids are 9 and 7, so we can't watch Die Hard, which, as we all know, is a Christmas movie. What can we do? Please send suggestions. I'll shout out the best and most successful suggestions that I got in the first episode of 2021. So, without further ado, this is going to be another good episode with my guest.
Paulette McCarron, SVP, Group Client Leader at Havas, is a passionate and strategic healthcare marketer, educator, and advocate, avid New York sports fan, sorry to hear that, baker, and longtime friend. Thanks for joining me, Paulette.
Hey, John, how are you?
I'm good. I think the background in my home office here is a little more jazzy than yours, or you're not at work, are you?
No, I'm actually physically at my office where I have been since September. Out of the almost 1,000 people that are usually at this office in the 2.5 months I've been here, I don't think we've had more than 30 people a day. So it's very easy to socially distance. And in fact, I am sitting on a floor with nobody, or half a floor, to be fair.
Awesome. Okay.
The window of that's Canal Street.
Is it?
Yes.
Very nice. I thought I recognized that building behind you, but
that's actually where Harrison Star is, if you've ever been there.
Very cool. Nice. All right. Well, so you've talked a little bit about COVID and being back. First of all, happy Hanukkah. I know that.
Thank you. It starts on Thursday night, and I'm very excited. I got my daughter an actual Hanukkah present in addition to Christmas presents, and I'm a very bad secret keeper. So when I get her a gift, I can almost never keep it for the length of time that I need to, which is why I've decided to give it to her for Hanukkah, because it's 2 weeks sooner than.
Yeah. And plus, you're like, this is such a good present. I don't want to wait 2 more weeks.
Right. It is actually going to make her squeal, which you don't know yet. Your daughters aren't there yet, but making teenagers squeal is a rare thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm in the same boat as you in terms of celebrating all the holidays. We've got, I guess today is pre-Hanukkah as we're filming this, but Hanukkah starts in a couple days. We've got an elf on the shelf. We've got a mensch on the bench. We've got 8 nights coming up with presents, and then we got trees and all that jazz going on. So
yeah, we have a tree as well. My husband and daughter, it's like an annual thing. They go to New Jersey and cut down a tree. Sometimes I go with them, sometimes I don't. I will sometimes say, honestly, not my area of specialty. So go.
You go a lot. They go a lot more hardcore than we do. We have a plastic, like 5-foot tree that we keep in a box that we bust out every year. I don't know how it still has fake pine needles on it, because every time we set it up, about 6,000 of them fall off. So one of these days, it's going to look like Charlie Brown's little struggle tree.
We have that. We have the dogs, so there's that. We got to be careful they don't eat the needles. And then tinsel. Literally, my daughter's obsessed, has to have tinsel, which is fine, except that you find tinsel like in a room furthest from the tree 8 months later somehow. Tinsel, So anyway.
It travels and it gets everywhere. Yes, we just made my daughters over this past weekend, because it seems like everybody's being overly cautious again about COVID, as they should be. So we didn't really have any major plans this past weekend. So we made gingerbread houses.
How'd they come out?
They came out gorgeous. The sprinkles they're still coming out of the rug, which they'll be coming out for the next 5 years. Yeah. So the Roomba couldn't get them out, the regular vacuum cleaner, the dust buster. But hey, it killed 2 hours of 48 over the weekend. So we only had.
Hey, you got to go with what you can when you have small-ish children.
Exactly. So obviously, I know you're going back into the office. How else has COVID life been for you? I'm assuming you couldn't get back to the office any quicker, could you?
No, I couldn't, but that was mostly because I live in a loft, and my daughter has the 1 bedroom, and the other main room is where I was sitting. My husband and daughter, my desk was 3 feet from the kitchen, and they had to tiptoe around me all day. So, and also there's a lot of stress attendant with COVID, and having a teenager who was free and at college having to live with her parents in her childhood bedroom has its own stresses. So both she and my husband were very happy to see me head back into the office.
Hold on a sec, your daughter's in college?
She's a sophomore, and
what?
Yeah, that's what happens. You feed them, they get bigger.
Oh my gosh. And I guess time, food, and water. Yeah. So anyway, I have I've given them the house during the day, and it's worked out best for everyone. I don't know how long that will last. We haven't heard anything to the contrary. There was a time last month when certain zip codes from Queens and Long Island were negated. Like if you live in those zip codes, you couldn't come in. Jeez. But it hasn't been an issue for me. So we'll see how it goes. It has not been a good year, but then it hasn't been a good year for anybody. So I'm looking forward to 2021, and keep my fingers crossed things will get better. Hey, we're all having a better year than the Jets, right? Sorry.
That's a really low bar to start with, but yes, we are.
Where is your daughter a sophomore at? What fine university?
She's a sophomore at Penn State, but now she's a sophomore in her bedroom.
Penn State, huh?
Yeah, went to Penn State.
Wise decision sending her to the best of the states, Pennsylvania.
Well, it's interesting. I don't have the same emotion around it that you do, because I have to pay out of state tuition, but we'll see.
I'm gonna change corners of the.
I see that. I don't have to look at the flyers anymore.
As the master of segues, I couldn't have planned college talk any better, because my next point was that you are my favorite UConn Husky. And
yes, well, I should be, although there was that moment in time where you called me out for picking my team.
Well, I mean,
picking emotionally instead of picking factually, but it worked out.
It's a funny story. It was the year that UConn was like a 8 seed, and of the 40 or 50 people in our pool, you were the only person who picked UConn to win the whole thing. Which you must have had a lot of strategic insight and done a lot of homework. Didn't just pick them because you went there.
No, I actually, most years, I had been in other pools other than yours, and I've been like on the ESPN pools or the, CBS sports pools. And I try to do 2 pools. I try to do one where I actually sit there really thinking and reading the materials. And then I pick one where I just have UConn win. That way I've covered myself.
Sure.
I don't know what it was that moved me that year. Because it wasn't like, it wasn't the year of Okafor, but yet somehow,
Yeah, I think that was the Kemba Walker year where he carried the team, and hey, it worked. I mean,
I thought he was somewhere in the news having surgery or something yesterday. I'm like, Kemba, I hear about him periodically, and I guess he's injured. But
Kemba, you won me $200. Thank you.
Yeah, hey.
200 mythical credits. I mean, this was just for entertainment purposes.
Right, it was all entertainment purposes, because then we'd have to pay taxes if there was
right.
income exchange, which of course it was all about bragging rights, which all these years later I still have.
Yeah, no, I'll still never forget that, the year that you won on UConn, which kudos to you for being loyal to your school. All right, so I have some hard-hitting questions. So I didn't go to any of these fine universities. My wife went to Penn State.
I know.
Being from Philly, I'm kind of a free agent with college teams. So whether it's St. Joe's or Villanova, anybody that's doing well in college basketball, I can kind of hook my because I went to a small D3 school called the University of Scranton, which they're not playing the UConns of the world. So
you can root for whomever you wish to root for, and I will not judge you.
I appreciate that. Me neither.
If you were a Jet fan, I would judge you.
Yes. Well, we'll get to that later. We'll talk about this sad state of at least the NFC East and all of our teams. Although the New York Football Giants, as much as it pains me to say, are on a roll. Did just beat Seattle, which is
I know. Remarkable. Yeah. I'm still not, mentally grasping the whole idea that they're still playing sports, and
it's crazy. It's crazy, but that's a whole another conversation.
Yes. Okay, hard-hitting questions. I'm ready.
Yeah, hard-hitting questions here. So first of all, your hair looks fantastic.
Thank you. I did it specially for you.
Thank you. I
got it this morning and it was all over the place, and I'm like, I'm going to see John later. So.
Well, all over the place, that kind of segues into what my question was going to be, because the premise of this ridiculous show is that I look at your LinkedIn profile and ask you questions about your career. And you must have started in kindergarten. Your first.
That's so smooth. You clearly have a wife and daughters.
Yeah.
So I was 11.
11, yeah. I think I used the same joke with Juliette Lee, but I use that with all the ladies. What can I say? No,
it's fine. That's smooth. It's smooth.
I'm a charmer.
I am lying about my age, so I know you're not going to ask me my age.
No, I would never do that.
I have been doing this for a while, but I started very young.
So you started very young, and you started in the 80s. And so my question was going to be, how big was your hair back then?
So my big hair was the end of the 70s. So disco. I actually gotta find the photo somewhere. I have a perm. I took a year off between high school and college, and I lived in Florida with my brother, and I had a perm.
Nice. Everybody back then did. Mike Ditka had a perm.
I'm sure he did. And, I went to discos. He lived in Florida, so I lived in Miami in the height of the disco era.
Nice.
And so my hair was big then, but by the time I got to the 80s, I didn't have big hair anymore.
Okay. All right.
I had some of the other dressing problems, challenges of people in the 80s, but not big hair, no.
You know what? I mean, it was just what was in at the time. I look back at lots of stuff and I say, what the hell was I thinking? But, at the time, I was the coolest cat in the world.
Of course. My daughter commented about the 80s last night at dinner or the night before about, the hideousness of the 80s. And I'm like, yeah, we had acid wash jeans. Oh, yeah, we did.
Hey. Yeah. Acid was everywhere in the 80s.
Yes. Well, more in the 60s.
More like the 60s, but whatever.
But, yes.
So have you always, throughout all your stops in media, has it always been healthcare focused, or did you have
My first job was not in healthcare, and every job subsequently has been. So my first job, my father got for me because he knew someone who knew someone, because I had been home from, I graduated from college, and I had been home for 6 weeks, and he'd had enough of me. So he got me a job at a trade journal that served the tea and coffee industry, of all things. And
I'm sorry. It was the what industry?
Tea and coffee. Like,
oh, I thought you said the teen coffee scene.
No, tea
Their
and
teens
coffee.
are big into coffee.
Yeah.
Tea and coffee.
Tea and coffee, called the Tea and Coffee Trade Journal, and it marketed itself as information for people in that industry, and was importers and people who shipped coffee and sold coffee and tea, and so we had international advertisers, and I sold space over the phone. Yeah, cold.
Wow.
Phone. Yeah, did not like it.
No, so that then pushed you towards.
Well, so I wanted to be on the other end of the phone.
Selling stuff's hard. It's no fun. You get no's a lot.
I wanted to be the person who figured out where the ad should go, and there you go. So I started looking for a job, and I wanted to go into sports marketing, which should not surprise you.
Yeah.
People telling me, oh no, it's your woman and it doesn't pay anything and they'll never hire you, and yeah. And a woman that I knew had a friend that worked at an ad agency, and she called him up and said, I have this young woman I know, she just wants to talk to you about her resume to help her to make her resume good to get into sports marketing. He worked at KPR, which predates you, which was
I'm familiar.
Clear Phillips Ross. And I went to see him, and he was a copywriter. Again, wrong person to talk to. And he just brought my resume to the media director, and the rest is history.
So I think after KPR, you worked at 3 different companies over a span of time that were all called something and something. Is that correct?
Yeah. I don't know how that happened. It was KPR, and then it was Doherty and Lyons, and then it was Weinstein and Associates.
Well,
no one remembers. And what do I remember about Weinstein and Associates? 3 things. One, first day on the job, I had to go to the hospital, not because of something that happened there, but I had to go to the hospital. Second thing I remember is I worked with a guy named Mel Getzoff, and I just wanted Mel, change your name.
Yeah, poor Mel.
Change your name, Mel. And then the third thing is, it was one of the first, I had a migraine. I got a migraine for the first time in my life while at work at Weinstein Associates. So those are the 3 things. I couldn't tell you what I worked on or any of that.
Yeah.
Remember Mel Getzoff. And Mel Getzoff. And then after that, I guess again, I went to CMI. And then, that was a big chunk. So
yes, you were there for Mel Getzoff. Yes. I wonder what Mel's up to these days.
Well, this was a while ago, and he was already in his 40s or 50s. So who knows?
Mel might
even around. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's good stuff.
Yes.
So back to what you do. Your profile, you list that you are a proud team advocate and mentor. And I remember when I was a young pup starting at CMI and you were there, you kind of took me under your wing. You would email me frequently. 99 out of 100 times it was just a BS about sports. But tell me a little bit about, this is obviously something you're passionate about. How do you mentor? And the other thing is that you're a team advocate. So tell me a little bit about those 2 things.
So I have long ago moved away from a sort of just a focus on only things media. Even though I do work in media companies, I focus more on marketing, and I focus on being an advocate for the HCP side of the house. In terms of my mentorship, that's a comparatively second half of my career thing. When I started at CMI, I was a different kind of boss. Becoming a parent was seminal in my changing, where I wanted to be the kind of person that people could look back after their careers and look at the time that we worked together as something that I helped them along their career, and that they learned something from me that helped them, as opposed to being that sort of dictatorial boss that tells you to show up on time. And not that you don't have to be an administrator, but I wanted to be more of a teacher and an advocate for the people that I worked with, and to represent them to management in a way that would elevate their careers, so that I could look back at the end of my career and see, you know, vice presidents and senior vice presidents and partners and people that had worked for me go on to do great things. So that was how I changed sort of the focus of my mindset in my interactions with my teams. It's sometimes challenging. You have to balance that idea that the clients are supposed to come first, and that's not always easy to do when you're trying to put your team first. But that's sort of the push and pull that you have to do if you want to be successful. Because management, while they're glad that you're good to your team, they really want the clients to be happy. And how do you get both of those things to happen at the same time?
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, it's shifting gears time. I'm all about shifting.
No, let's go. We have limited amount of time. And
limited amount of time. Okay. So I saw in stalking you on your profile, LinkedIn is my only means of social media. I'm not on Facebook. Okay. So I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. So it says here that you volunteered as a poll worker, different kind of poll worker, I assume, than, okay.
Yes.
During the election. How was that experience? And did you witness any fraud?
No, there was no.
No, there was no fraud?
No, there was no fraud. It was not busy at all. Most people in New York City had voted already, so it was kind of dead. I got a really cool mask, cloth mask, which I still have, which I did not wear today, so I cannot show it to you. That says Vote New York City on it.
Nice.
It was a good experience. I really enjoyed it. I felt like I was contributing because I've been spending the last 4 years being a very vocal political mouth. And it was good to stop talking about how much I wanted to change things and do something to actually change them. But also, like, there were pieces that I know, like all these businesses in the area brought in food. It was like nonstop food all day.
Nice.
Which was nice. I brought my own food because it was a long day. It was 5 a.m. to 9:30 p.m.
Wow.
Yeah, and you get like 2 hour breaks, but you know, it's a long day.
Wow.
So I really enjoyed it. I'm really glad I did it, and didn't have really, like, there were no incidents. There was a policewoman there, but there was no incidents, no violence, none of that. It was good. Only had really one person that was just really angry and wanting to yell at people. But in a 15-hour day, that's not bad.
Yeah, you're going to get, statistics.
You get that if you, right, yeah.
You're due for at least one of those.
Yeah.
Okay, so the banner, in addition to a very cute picture of you and your daughter as your profile picture, the banner on your LinkedIn page has some nice little finger foods and pastries. Are you still big into
Sadly, not mine. The stuff behind it, I did not make.
That's stock footage?
No.
Yeah.
But I do spend an extraordinary amount of time baking. Yeah.
Okay. Still Paulette's Night Kitchen, I believe, is where you used to check in on. What was that thing? Foursquare?
That was on Facebook, although I don't use Facebook anymore either since 2016, but I do use Instagram, and I put all the stuff I make on Instagram, and it's Paulette's Night Kitchen, and there are thousands of photos of stuff I bake because I bake so much. So
how do you balance? I remember the last time we got together in person, which is way longer than I wish it had been. I remember I was like, holy crap, Paulette is ripped. Now, how do you balance being this baker with this fitness gig?
So, yeah, the fitness thing, I go to the gym 5 or 6 days a week.
Okay.
I do that somewhat because I like to eat, but more because I'm trying to, forestall the inevitable decrepitude of
live longer.
Yeah, I'm trying to live longer and keep my muscle mass out, not get osteoporosis, and you don't need all the details about that. But I really started devotedly going when Trump won the election, and I had so much stress I didn't know what to do with myself. So I started going to the gym.
Okay.
As you know, from any time you work out, you get a real endorphin rush from it, and then you become dependent on it. And that's kind of where I am. So definitely upper body is in better shape. It's a continual battle, but I do like to eat, and I do like to eat sweets. So I'm kind of compelled to do both. Like if I'm do one, I got to do the other, kind of. So
That's awesome. Well, I mean, whatever you're doing, it's working wonders.
I'm
And
trying. Thank you.
yeah,
Caffeine. I drink a lot of coffee.
drink a lot of coffee. That's good. Well,
And a lot of water. I drink like 90 ounces of water a day, but
nice.
yeah.
Well, listen, I could talk to you all day about
And
stuff.
we should talk again because we have lots of topics we haven't covered.
Absolutely.
But thank you. It was fun. Please say hi to Sarah and the girls. Now, the girls have no idea who I am, but your wife.
How they do? They crazy Paulette. I talked about.
No, yeah, right. She's the one who bakes. And one last bit. You ask your wife if your wife has an Instagram account, have her go to my page. I know you're not Mr. Social Media, but I am baking and shipping shit to people. So your wife go to my page and say, yeah, I want that banana bread or I want that lemon loaf, and I'll bake it and ship it to you guys. Pick out something the girls would like.
Well, we are now getting to the point where we're approaching hundreds of views with this. So if anybody listening and needs shit, Paulette is baking and shipping it.
I'm baking and shipping it.
Nice. Awesome. Well, good luck with that.
Take care.
Likewise.
Yeah, it's PM Bakery Girl. And the bread, I make bread now. Don't ship the bread because it doesn't stay fresh, but I ship all the cakes and the pies and all that other stuff. So
very nice.
At no cost. I don't charge people for it.
All right, people, the holidays are coming up and we need ideas.
But you remember, I'm trying to keep the post office in business, but you got to let me know soon.
Okay. Put those orders in soon.
That's right. I'm going to do the wave thing. Take care, John.
All right. Thank you very much, Paulette. This was awesome.
All right.
Okay, I put my other shirt back on for some reason and just wanted to say, hope everybody has a fantastic holiday season, no matter what you celebrate. Have a great end to Hanukkah. Have a great Christmas. I guess have a great New Year. Thank God. Good riddance 2020. I'll see you guys in 2021. Peace.